Yo, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet Valley VGC video. I'm your host, Jose Rocks, and today we're going to be getting into another tier list for Regulation G. So we previously did a tier list with the all the restricted mons. If you see, they're listed down here in the not ranking. Because we're not going to be ranking them today, we're going to be doing something different. So we're going to be ranking the viable Pokemon in Regulation G. So the creator of this tier list was so kind to go ahead and organize this by the most viable Pokemon that are in the format. They don't really have any usage stats, just pretty much, I guess, with this person's opinion on what's good in this format, right? So I pretty much jumbled some of these up so we can, it can be pretty interesting when we're going through this. So with these being already organized and all the really bad Pokemon that you probably really won't see unless it's just someone's favorite Pokemon being filtered out, I don't think there's going to be any F tiers, right? F tier is going to be, if you want to win, don't use this, unviable. I believe that all of these have some type of viability, as whether it's on a specific niche on a team or whether they're just good in general, right? So we're going to be able to rank these pretty good, and we're going to be using, this is my tier list that I usually do for all my tier videos. This is my system of ranking. I don't really have like A plus or A minus, B plus. We go with the standard S, A, B, C, and D, F tiers. And I pretty much give you like an explanation of why each tier is an S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, right? And the explanations are going to be right under it. So we have S tiers, right? These are going to be the must-have answers for busted. There's not going to be too many of these because most of the S tier mons are actually going to be restricted. But there are a few non-restricted S tiers, right? But there won't be too many crowding this because a lot of them you won't have to have answers for them since this is a restricted meta, right? We also have the A tier. These are good on every team, the winners. These are going to be the mons that pretty much round out a lot of different teams that you just pretty much use them to complete like already like really balanced or really just well-rounded teams. These kind of fill out those slots, right? Next is going to be the B tier. So B tier is interesting because B tier is going to be the mons that are just not as good as the A tier. They're not good on every single team, but they do play their role well. They have a specific role that they usually like to have on different teams, right? And when they are put in those roles, they play them pretty well, so they're going to end up in the B tier. C tier are going to be the niche mons. These are the ones that fit on one type of team. For instance, like Venusaur, it's one of those niche mons where it's not going to be good on every single team. It's not really reliable because it can miss sleep powder, but it does have a niche where it fits on some teams like Groudon and Koraidon. It can be pretty disruptive, right? So that's going to be pretty much the C tier. Next, we have the D tier. The D tiers are going to be there's decent, but something does its job better. The wannabes. These are Pokemon that are not really bad. They're not F tier, but there's something in one of the higher tiers that does exactly what it wants to do, but does it better, and it's easier to slot on the team, right? Those are pretty much going to be your wannabes, right? So they're going to be the ones that are in D tier, right? So this is going to be, our second tier list of this new Regulation G season. Regulation G just returned. It was here for the World Championship, and then we went into a 4-month period of Regulation H, and now we're back with Regulation G. So if you guys like this type of content, if you want me to do more tier lists on different types of things, let me know with a comment below. I can find some other fun tier lists that we can do that are not just relative to the current Pokemon in the format. It can be like Terra types. I've done like a restricted list like that before. It can be just types in general. It can be cores, different things like that. So we can find those type of tier lists and we'll rank them. But if you guys like this type of content, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, turn those post notifications. Let's go ahead and get into this list. So starting off our list, we're going to go from the top right here is Alola Ninetales. I think Alola Ninetales is going to be C tier in this format. And I say C tier simply because it really only fits on the snow teams that like to play with like Kyurem White. And I can't really see you like using it on any other type of team. Maybe you have like a gimmicky Calyrex Ice team playing with Ice in the sun, just making Calyrex Ice like unkillable with like Iron defense in the snow, right? It's just very hard to deal with. That can be pretty cool, but again, that's just a niche type strategy, right? So I think it's gonna go in C tier. I'm not gonna go into like showdown and like break down any like sets. We're just gonna stay on the tier list for now because we don't want this video to be too long, right? So I'll give like a brief breakdown on each Pokemon though, why it's gonna go in that tier. So I think Arcanine is gonna go in a D tier for me. I think it's a wannabe. I think that the power level is a little bit too high for it, but it still is intimidate. It still is offensive. It can do some damage with choice band. It's offering like the rock type coverage, But to be honest, the reason I say it's a wannabe is because if you want a fire type Intimidator, one of the best Pokemon in the format is Cineroar, you're just gonna go with that, right? So we'll say for now that Arcanine's D tier. That may change if I see it get some results, but as of now, we're gonna leave it in D tier. Urshifu Water. It's gonna be our first S tier. We already know how good this Pokemon is. It goes through Protect. Water fighting typing is really good. It's not crazy good defensively, but it's kind of like, how can I say this? It's sneakingly good defensively, right? Because you might end up in an end game to where you might resist like some dark type attacks, or you might resist like some water type attacks that can Urshifu can survive and then just KO something in the end game, right? Because you just don't have super effective coverage into it. And water and fighting can have some like rare cases where it is like really good defensively, right? Just not at the like the beginning of the game when they have all their resources. Like when their resources are depleted, like water fighting typing can be a really good typing. But Urshifu goes to Protect. It's good with Choice Scarf, good with Focus Sash, it's good with Safety Goggles. It's a bunch of different sets you can run with. It fits on a lot of different archetypes. Completes the Fire, Water, Grass core, so it's a really good mon. Nothing more to say about that. Basket Legion. I don't really think the female version is really that good, but since he put them together, we're gonna just rank them both. I think it's C tier. It fits on like Kyogre teams if you want to have like a Pelipper sweeper. But honestly, if you're gonna be using Pelipper Rain, I honestly feel like you should just use Urshifu in the rain. It's not as fast as Basket Legion, but you can get somewhat close to that with a Choice Scarf, right? But it goes to Protect, so it's just better. It does have a Last Respects niche, so that's pretty good. But that's why I feel like it's in C tier. Moltres. I think I'm going to put Moltres in the B tier. I've actually played against a couple of Moltres in this format, and it is a really good check to Calyrex Shadow. And I would say that fits in the reliable, plays his role well. Moltres in this format, its role is to check Calyrex Shadow. With an Assault Vest, you just don't take much damage to it. With a Poison Terror, you're able to resist if it tears into Fairy and goes for like Draining Kiss, or you can just go for like a Water Terror just to make everything neutral. Even like Steel Terror, right? Just to resist that and still take neutral damage from Astral Barrage. And it forces them to have to click it. So and then you can also just snarl them down or just threaten them with dark type damage. You can go with like a Steel Terror Blast, threaten it back. So it can be pretty, unique. And I think it's a little bit better than being niche because Calyrex Shadow is one of the best restrictors in the format, right? And it kind of checks it. Outside of it going for Draining Kiss, but like I said, usually you're gonna see like a Poison Terror on this, which counters that. So I think it's really good. I think Enamorus is going to be D tier for me, and we say that because what it wants to do is be like a powerful fairy type attacker, and Flutter Mane just does that better. But it does play a different role than Flutter Mane because it's a sweeper under Trick Room, and it is immune to like Amoonguss. But at that time, you just use a better Trick Room sweeper. I think Hatterene might be a better fairy Trick Room sweeper, and it can also set Trick Room. This thing is just very frail. It's weak to a lot of different, random tech moves like tech rock type attacks, tech electric type attacks, steel type attacks. People are gonna tech steel types attacks to deal with Flutter Mane. So it's just, I think it's just a wannabe because it just wants to do what like Hatterene and Flutter Mane can do, and I don't think it does those jobs better, right? And I do think if you're gonna be trying to play hard Trick Room, you probably should be using like Calyrex Ice, Ursaluna. Even Torkoal, like just a better special sweeper under Trick Room, right? So, but I don't think it's F tier, right? I think it is D tier because you can make it work, but it's gonna be struggling because it's things that want to do its job better. We already talked about Venusaur. I think it's gonna be C tier. I think it might be better than Alolan Ninetales because Sleep Batter can be very threatening, right? It can be hard to deal with in a lot of different circumstances. So I think it is a little bit better than that. I might say that Arcanine probably is better than Namorous. Clefairy, I think this is A tier. It's a good reader. Actually, it's a reader. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It plays its role well. It fits on balanced teams where you just play like Protect Your King, pretty much like Calyrex Ice, Calyrex Shadow, Terapagos. It's gonna do a good job at making them bulky so they can have a better time setting up, right? So I think it plays its role well. I don't want to say it's A tier yet till I see it a little bit more. I do think that it's kind of predictable. It does have the After You niche for the Trick Room teams, right? It underspeeds Calyrex Ice, so that's pretty cool. But I can't put it any higher than B right now. Next, we're going to go with Gyarados. I think Gyarados is going to be Actually lost to Gyarados while I was grinding the ladder to get to Master Ball with Kyurem Black, and I never decided to click like Terra Volt into it, so it was kind of like annoying with like Thunder Wave and Waterfall. Because of that, I do think it's like, I think it has a niche. What kind of team was that? It was a Zamazenta team. I think it has a niche on the Zamazenta teams. If you just want to like forgo like Urshifu and just have like an Intimidator and not using Incineroar, I think it can be decent there alongside Zamazenta. Other than that, I don't see it being too much better. I think Ninetales might be better than it though, but I think it has some potential though, so that's when I put it there. Articuno C tier only fits on snow teams with this, but if you're gonna use this, actually just use Kyurem Ice, right? Kyurem White. Even though Kyurem doesn't have like the ability to like the Snow Cloak, Terra Volt just ignoring abilities. I believe it's Terra Volt on this. I can't remember. That might just be on Kyurem Black, but it has an ability that ignores other abilities, right? Which I think is better than Snow Cloak. So if you want to just use, a sweeper with Blizzard, just use Kyurem White. So I think Articuno is D tier. Zapdos. I ain't really seen Zapdos, to be honest. If you want to use like a decently fast electric type special attacker, use Regieleki. I think Regieleki is really good in this format. Raging Bolt's also a better special electric type attacker. So that's two electric types that are special attackers that are just better than it. I don't really want to compare Iron Hands. So with that being the case, I think it's just D tier now unless I see some different results from it. I think Dragonite's also B tier for me. It plays its role next to Chien-Pao in this format, just being an aggressive, normal type attacker that's immune to Calyrex Shadow and can threaten big damage with E-Speed. I don't think it's A tier yet because I don't think it fits on every team in this format. I may move it up later, but we'll just see how this list pans out, right? It plays this role just playing alongside Chien-Pao really well. But the loaded dice scale shot set for this Dragonite, I think it's pretty dead. Trying to use that on this, you might as well just use something like Kyurem Black, in my opinion. Porygon 2, haven't seen it. It's been pretty irrelevant. I think it's niche right now, and that's saying a lot because of how good it was in Regulation H. But if you want a bulky Trick Room setter that's just hard to kill, just use Calyrex Ice, right? It's restricted. I guess we can use it if you just decide that you don't want to play Calyrex Ice and you want to use your restricted slot for something else. But even then, I still don't think it's that good. But like I said, this is early format, so we'll see if it gets some results. But I just don't see it. Smeargle. A tier. This mon is so good. Like, it can run a plethora of sets. It can play on pretty much any archetype. It can run anything and just support whatever you want. Decorate, Spore, Fake Out, Redirection, Wide Guard, whatever you need. It's a full utility kit. It's a good mon. I don't like it, but I can't deny that it's good. Hitmontop, D tier. Just using Incineroar, Fake Out plus Intimidate. Entei, I think Entei is gonna be an A tier for me. I think it's good on any team that you want to put on. Let's put it down here just a little bit better than Dragonite. I think it's B tier actually, because you can't put it on. You can't just slap it on a rain team. So I wouldn't say it's good on every single team. Entei really wants to click Sacred Fire, so if you're playing a rain team, you can't really fit it on there. So I don't want to put it in A tier then. But it does work really well on those Chien-Pao Zamazenta teams, right? So it plays its role well as being a physical type, fire type that can't be faked out and is immune to Intimidate, and it can threaten a lot of damage next to Chien-Pao. Suicune, bulky water, just use Kyogre. It's not going to be good in this format. Bulky Tailwind user. I can't really think of another bulky Tailwind user. Water type Tailwind user, just use Pelipper, right? I think Pelipper's better. Tyranitar, C tier for me. Fits on sand teams, but I don't think it's going to be that good. Torkoal, it's B tier for me. Plays its role well. It's just a good sunsetter. Annoys rain teams, and it's really good on hard trick on teams. It can still just one-shot a lot of different restrictors, right? And if you got a Torkoal on your team and your opponent has a Calyrex Ice instead of Trick Room, you just come in and you force Calyrex Ice to Terra, right? You just, if it's Grass Terra, you just one-shot it. So it's pretty cool. Metagross, D tier for me. Just use Zacian, right? I can't think of anything. Also, just use Iron Crown, better steel psychic type. Latias, I don't know what type of team this fits on. I'm gonna say this D tier for now. Dragon and Psychic. If you want to use a Dragon, just use Miraidon. I guess if we're going with this list, we shouldn't be comparing them against restricteds then, right? But just use Raging Bolt. It's a better Dragon type in my opinion. Or Walking Wake too. I don't really see, like, it has Tailwind. I can't think of nothing else for it. Gastrodon C tier. It has a niche that it can annoy the mess out of Kyogre teams. It can give you a switch into Volt Switch into a Miraidon, which is pretty annoying for it. That's really it, right? Let me turn this down a little bit. Right. Gallade, Hard Trick Room plays his role. I think it's a B tier. It's a really good Hard Trick Room on. With this ability, it threatens a lot of damage with like Sacred Sword and like Night Slash, Psycho Cut, Sharpness. Really good ability. Heatran, I think it's D tier. Fire type, use Volcarona, use Incineroar, use Entei. It's just threatened by so much. I can't put it any higher than that. Crest, C tier. Fits on Hard Trick Room teams. You may be able to actually. I think Crest may be B tier for me because you can throw Crest on like a hyper offense team and just use it as your Trick Room counter, and I think it could play that role really well at just denying Trick Room, right? And also being able to heal your mons up while they're inside of Trick Room. This with a safety goggles just gives you a complete Amoonguss answer. Amoonguss can't spore this, and you can wake your teammates up. I think it's pretty cool. Whimsicott, S tier for me. This Pokemon is amazing. Encore, Light Screen, Tailwind, Fake Tears. It just enables so many different archetypes. You really got to have answers to Whimsicott. Like, you need to have like Fergraph, you need to have Psychic Terrain, so you don't just get encored into just not being able to attack, right? Or just locked into a move that you don't want to click. You got to watch out for Whimsicott. Is this music too loud? I can't really tell. It's loud for me. Alright. Gothitelle fits on Perish teams. I think it has a niche, but Urshifu kind of invalidates Perish a little bit. But still Gothitelle, right? So if they don't have an Urshifu, you can really still use it. If they have Urshifu, just don't bring it. Volcarona, I think it plays its role well. Offensive fire type special attacker. It's really hard for Zamazenta teams to deal with. So it is a check for that, but I don't think it fits on every type of team because, again, it doesn't want to be on rain teams, so I think it's B tier. Thundurus is kind of slept on. I saw Joe do a tier list with the non-restricted, and he didn't even rank this. Like, it was like unranked, and I think that's a crime because I think Thundurus, to me, I think it's a B tier mon because it has Prankster, it has Thunderwave, it has Rain Dance. I feel like it can do a lot of different things in its role and just being like an annoying support mon. I still think it can help Zacian, even though it's not going to be running Defiant. But just setting up the rain for Zacian, setting up Thunderwave so you have speed control, Eerie Impulse so Zacian is not taking a lot of special damage. I think it's a good support mon. I think it's really slept on, and I think some people should rank it higher. I think this fits on every type of team. It's A tier. It's one of those non-restricteds that threatens KOs on restricteds pretty easily. Forces them to Terra. It's very scary with a Choice Scarf, right? Threatens KOs on Zacian, threatens KOs on Zamazenta, they have the Terra. Threatens a KO on Miraidon, it has the Terra. With the Poison, you threaten KOs on Rillaboom. With Poison Terra, Sludge Bomb, you threaten KOs on Incineroar. It's always threatening KOs on something on your opponent's team, right? And that's just really good on every team. Sylveon, I know there's a lot of Sylveon fans out there, but I think it's D tier. I don't even think it's better than Zapdos. Well, it may be better than Zapdos. I don't know. I ain't seen Zapdos. I ain't seen none of these mons. None of these I've seen. So I think they can work, but you're working harder to make this work when you can just use Hatterene or you can just use Fluttermane, right? I think Hatterene is kind of slept on too, so that's why I'm saying Hatterene is a better fairy type attacker. Incineroar, S tier. It's always going to be one of the best Pokemon in the format. Incineroar keeps other restricted physical attackers in check. Incineroar prevents other restricteds from running extra damage boosting items. Like it prevents Zacian. Well, Zacian can't run an item, but it prevents Groudon, Koraidon, and Calyrex Ice from running, even Kyurem from running items that they want to run to increase their damage. Rayquaza too. Because Incineroar exists, you have to run Clear Amulet on these or else they just have a bad time, right? It's the reason why Zacian is not one of the best mons in the format, because Zacian was nerfed to where it can't keep its attack boost once it switches out. If it could, it wouldn't have to care about Intimidate as much, right? But the fact that it only gets it once, just losing it to Incineroar kind of feels bad, right? So Incineroar just keeps physical restrictors in check, and that alone. Also, Calyrex Shadow, the best restricted in my opinion in the format, can't remove Incineroar without like cheesing it with like Fighting Terra, Terra Blast, or something like that. And even that's a lot of commitment to do that, right? Because they can just not switch out or just Terra expecting that. Best of 3 format, you're not going to really get away with that, right? So it's S tier for me. Primarina, amazing in Reg H. D tier for me in here. You're better off just using Urshifu. That's a better water type. Como, I don't see it having use. I don't see what it's good into. It's just food for a Miraidon. Even like with your dragon typing, you're still taking a lot from Electro Drift. And you just don't have enough time to set up Iron Defense or set up the Throat Spray Clanging Scale set. Rillaboom, another S tier. It's hard to pick which one of these is better. If I had to pick, I would say Urshifu's the best. And then Rillaboom does check the mon that won Worlds. So I guess we'll put it above Incineroar then, right? Because Miraidon, it's the previous Worlds winning restricted. So we're going to say that Miraidon is one of the best in the format. And it checks that. But this checks Calyrex. So, I mean, it's hard to pick. You guys let me know which one you would put over each other. I know Urshifu's just better than them because Urshifu is just... Ghost to Protect is broken, right? But this is going to be these 3. Put them together. They fit on every single team, right? Corviknight, it's too slow in this format. You can make it work, but it just needs to be really... Your team has to really support it really well. If you want to set up with Iron Defense, let's see. I don't know what else you would probably use as a better Iron Defense user right now till I get down the list. But I just think that it's too slow. And it's weak to Miraidon electric type attack, so you force the Terra. It usually likes to have like Terra Fire, Terra Dragon, and that doesn't check Miraidon, right? Because it can still just Volt Switch on you and do massive damage. Hatterene, I think it's really good. I think it's C tier though. It fits on hard Trick Room teams, but Hatterene can still do a lot of damage with like Expanding Force and Dazzling Gleam, and with the right partners like Torkoal, is still really strong. Grimmsnarl slept on. I think it's an A tier mon. It just reduces the damage output of restricteds and also enables Thunder Wave, Scary Face, Fake Tears can enable like a lot of different things, and it's just very annoying to deal with. It does have the case of getting doubled up into it, like Fake Out plus like something KOing it, so it does have to be careful that because sometimes you have to commit a Terra to this, and it's not as easy to splash like on a lot of teams. It's like Whimsicott is, but it can fit on every team and help it do better. So I want to say this A tier restricted. Alcremie, I think it's niche. It can fit on like hard Trick Room teams and just I mean, if you just want to decorate, just use Smeargle, right? It's funny because decorate is a signature move, but Smeargle just uses it better, right? It's not the first time Smeargle has taken like a signature move and just used it better than that mon, just because it just has a better kit. It's not bad, but you'd much rather just use Smeargle, right? Indeedee, A tier. Also annoys Miraidon by giving it a terrain. Can set up Trick Room really good with Rocky Helmet. Forces Chien-Pao to Ice Spinner into it to remove his terrain, and then Rocky Helmet breaks the Sash, which makes Chien-Pao a little bit worse. Chien-Pao does not like seeing Indeedee, right? So it's really good for that. This Urshifu, I can't put it in S tier because it's cost effective, where the cost of running this Urshifu means you can't run this Urshifu, and this Urshifu's just better in my opinion than this one, even though this one is my favorite of the two. This Urshifu is a little bit more splashable, And the water typing allows us to get like a boost in rain, where this doesn't have like a weather or terrain that helps it get a damage boost. So this one is outputting more damage. It's better with a scarf because this one is threatened by fairy damage so easily that it mostly needs a scarf, and it just wants to always run focus sash or like choice band. And this is just a little bit more flexible. So it is a good A tier mon in my opinion. But since I feel like the cost of running this means you can't run Urshifu Water, makes me want to put it in A tier. But it's still, you know, a really good mon. I hope you guys can kind of understand, like, you know, my justification for why it's not an S tier mon. It's because you're losing the opportunity to run this one, right? But they're both really good. Regidrago, B tier for me. Really blow some stuff up, man. And it's I feel like it's a perfect partner for like Zacian, because it forces those fairy terrors and then Zacian just deals with it, right? So it's really good. Ursaluna, haven't seen it. I think it's niche though. It's still restricted power level type damage, so it can like one shot a lot of different restricteds if it gets set up. So I want to say it's niche, fits on hard trick room teams. Armor Rouge, Shot Joden ranked this as well. I think that this is also a C tier, fits on those hard trick room teams, but it can like still play like the weakness policy stuff, but it's just pretty cheesy, right? But I actually think it's right there with Hatterene. Glamora fits on those Dondozo teams that just want to stall out. I think it gets one shot a little bit too easily with tech ground moves, because people are trying to tech Zamazenta and Miraidon that are weak to ground. So it just gets punished by that. The format transitioning towards having ground coverage, right? Dondozo, A tier. It's gonna fit on every type of team if you just need a Dondozo answer. We'll probably rank that with Tatsugiri because they're always gonna be together. You don't really see single Dondozo in this format, so we'll just rank them both right there. And I think that I don't think Smirgle's better than these two. I think Smirgle might be right here. But Dondozo, like, it can still single-handedly sit in front of a lot of restricteds, and with the right terror at the right time, like, Dondozo is just very hard to deal with, so don't sleep on it. Annihilate, Choice Scarf Final Gambit is the only thing you're going to see. I don't think the Focus Sash set is going to work here. So you're going to see it on those hard trick room teams. They can still nuke some restricteds that outspeed them, but you can't cheese the Calyrex Shadow because it usually has a Focus Sash and it's Ghost type. So you can't just Final Gambit into it, but you can like Final Gambit into Terapagos if it doesn't terror. You can Final Gambit Zamazenta, Zacian. Just it does just pressure them with Final Gambit if they don't have like Tailwind or something like that. So you can't cheese them. Fergraph, I think it's A tier. Like, what team can't use Fergraph, right? It's like right there, same with Indeedee. They both deny priority. They both can set up, protect. They both like the helping hand. Just one does follow me, and one offers like a little bit more damage output. So it just depends on what you want. They're both psychic normal, so they're very similar. They're both immune to Calyrex Shadow. They both kind of annoy Calyrex Shadow when they're on the field because they resist. They're immune. They resist one stab and immune to the other stab, right? So they do something pretty similar. Fergraph enables the whole Miraidon archetype, and Indeedee enables like the side spam archetype for Calyrex Shadow. So they're both really good. I don't know which one's better right now. In my opinion, I think I hit rank number 1 with both of them in my time. So it's hard to put which one. I think I would say Indeedee's better for me. Follow Me is just kind of safer, whereas Fergraph can sometimes, you know, get punished by being doubled up into, and Indeedee can just protect your team a little bit better. So I think Indeedee might have the notch over that, but they're both extremely good. Gambit, it's D tier. It gets threatened too much by like fighting type coverage. If you wanted to use a dark type, you're better off with like Incineroar, Chien-Pao, Chi-Yu. It's a lot of different dark types. It is good into Calyrex Shadow, but Calyrex Shadow is going to always have like an Urshifu or Fighting Terror, so it's not necessarily a full check to that. Screamtail slept on. I think it's a B tier mon. I think it's right there with Jiggly with Clefairy. I think it's slept on, and I think that more people are going to see it on like Sun teams as well as like just booster energy and just being pretty annoying with Encore and Disable. Fluttermane, A tier mon. Is it better than Urshifu Dark? I think it might. I think it's right there. I think Urshifu Dark, because it goes to protect. I gotta put it at the top of A tier, right? But not S tier. Flutter Mane, booster energy, normal Terra. It's just faster than everything. Icy Wind is really good. Fairy coverage is really strong in this format. Flutter Mane just invalidates a lot of other fairies, right? So it's a really good mod. Iron Bundle, even though it's faster than Flutter, you're better off just using Flutter with Icy Wind because Iron Bundle just not offering a lot. But I think it can fit on Miraidon teams, so I'm gonna say a C tier. I do think it's better than Hatterene. Because it has Encore, it can like lock up some board states, and with Focus Sash with Miraidon, it can be pretty threatening, right? Iron Hands is extremely good right now. I wouldn't say it's better than Dozo, but it's definitely A tier mod. It only really works on. I feel like you can fit on a lot of different teams, right? It's really good into Calyrex Ice too, so I say it's A tier because you can just slap it on a lot of teams. Just use Kieran Black. It's just a souped up Excalibur. Gordingo might have the S tier has fallen. It's an S tier in usually most formats, but in this format, I think it's a B tier mod. I think it plays its role really well, where it's a really good check into both Calyrexes, because you can run like Water Terror, check this, and run like Normal Terror and check that, right? Because the Draining Kiss set with Normal Terror just not doing much to Gordingo, and if it tears in a fairy to get around your Shadow Ball, then you just hit it and make it rain. So it's a really good. It plays that role really well, where it checks into Calyrexes, right? I think it's really cool. It also kind of checks Zacian too, right? Chien-Pao, definitely S tier mon in my opinion. I think it's better than Whimsicott. This thing enables a lot of restrictors to deal more damage. It also can threaten restrictors and just KO them. I think it's broken, man. And it's very fast. It speed ties Miraidon. They have to go for like the speed ties, which they don't want to do that. Sucker Punch is very threatening. Ice Spin and removing terrain is also pretty annoying for terrain mons like Indeedee and Miraidon. Rillaboom threatens it. It doesn't really like Incineroar, but it can run Sacred Sword to help deal with Incineroar somewhat, especially if it comes in after Incineroar's already on the field, and can be pretty threatening. Ting Lu, I want to say it's B tier. Its role is that it shuts down special attacking restricteds. Miraidon really doesn't want to see Ting Lu reducing its damage and being immune to its electric type attacks, and forcing it to click Draco Meteor and reducing its special attack by 2 stages. And with an Assault Vest, like, you're just not doing a lot of damage with that. Like, you can run this next to a Mungus and just be pretty annoying. So I think it's B tier. It plays its role as annoying special attacking restricteds. Chi-Yu, I think it's S tier. I think it's the mon closest to the Fire, Water, Grass core of these three. And in my opinion, like, Chi-Yu sometimes feels like a restricted, where it just can one-shot like anything in the format with like the right Terra Blast, or the right, if it's already weak to like a Dark type. Like, it forces Terras. If you're weak to Chi-Yu, you're probably getting one shot. It's very hard to just naturally take its attacks without having like defense boost or like screens up, right? Chi-Yu's only downside, which why it's not up and with these three, like past these three, is because Heat Wave is one of its best moves, and Snarl can both miss, right? Roaring Moon, I'm seeing a lot of people use it on like Dozo teams and like Terapagos teams, because it can check like Calyrex Shadow. But in my opinion, like, I'm just not sold, because while it can check Calyrex Shadow with its normal stabs of like Ghost and Psychic, a lot of Cali Shadow right now are running a balanced team with, these three. And those Cali Shadow usually have Draining Kiss plus Fairy Terror. And that just still one-shots you. So how do you check it if it can just Terror and just one-shot you with a common set? So I'm not sold on Roaring Moon. I know a lot of people are giving it a try. But just being one-shot by tech fairy moves just kind of hurts, in my opinion, right? It kind of falls into like that Gambit thing where you're just getting one-shot by like tech moves. And that's really not good. Like, some of these can get one, like, these are commonly, like, you could carry a Focus Sash, I guess, but you're really going to want to have boost energy. But most of these that can get one shot by like tech moves usually carry a Focus Sash, right? If they don't carry a Focus Sash, then most likely they're not really concerned about getting one shot, or they're commonly tearing into something that really is good to tear in for their team, right? So Iron Valiant, it plays this role really good. I think it's a B tier mon. It's very close to A tier, right? It does really good on like Calyrex Ice teams, and it offers coaching, wide guard, encore, disable, super threatening, fairy type coverage. Physical coverage is very strong. Fairy type moonblast coverage is really strong, so I think it's a good support mod. Walking Wake, I'm gonna say it's C tier. Just like Iron Bundle, it's gonna fit on the Sun teams. I think it should be better than what it is, but I don't think it's been explored as much as it should. I've tried it a couple times and I feel like it's just never really in position to do a lot. But I think it can be good, like fitting on the Groudon teams of Crydon. I feel like if they were better, then this would be better because they always wanted a water type on their team. Outside of Gastrodon that can actually still use water type attacks, and it's like perfect for that. I just think that it wants to run the speed boost in nature, so it's fast, but that's not putting out as much damage. But then if you do want to put out the damage, it just feels like it doesn't have the speed, and then it gets outsped, right? So that's the kind of issue that it runs into. So I feel like it's C tier for now. Okie dokie, I have not seen this as non-existent. It's like a Defiant user, but it has like a Guard Dog or something like that. It's pretty much the same as Defiant. It gets an attack boost every time it's intimidated. I don't know. There's not really a lot of Defiant type mons in this format, right? And I don't even see Galarian Zapdos on this tier list. But I guess it has a niche, right? Not really, because it doesn't really beat Incineroar. I don't know how to rank this thing right now because I just haven't seen it and I haven't tried it since like Regulation F. I can't really think of what does its job better, but I still think it's D tier. I'm gonna say it's C tier because it has a niche, right? I can't think of what does its job at beating Intimidate better because you just see Clear Amulet and just stuff that just doesn't care about Intimidate, right? There's not really anything that takes advantage of Intimidate. So I don't want to say it's a D tier from that because it's really like probably the best one to do that. You're not really gonna see like Defiant, Thunderous, or Tornadus or something like that. Oh, I guess this right here does this. Yep, this does its job better because this is a really good mod. It offers Defiant. It can punish, Intimidate because it can get superpower. So I think it's a B tier. So because this exists, I'm gonna put that in D tier because just use this if you want to take advantage of Intimidate. Archaludon. It's only gonna fit on rain teams like Kyogre, just be bulky, but the format doesn't favor it right now. It's an S tier in Regulation H, but in this format, it just gets taken down too fast before it can set up. Sinistcha, B tier for me. Really slept on Trick Room Setter. Can heal up a lot of things. I think it can be really good on like Terapagos and Zamazenta teams. Like once they get set up, even Lunala, they're hard to remove, and then you just come in and heal them up and offer redirection. Plus offering Trick Room because these mons usually are more bulky than fast, and they kind of want to play on even Kyogre. Like it can support it, like the Assault Vest set, just healing it back up to make your Water Spouts do more damage. So it's really cool. Iron Crown, I want to say similar C tier. I haven't seen it, but I know that it can fit on Miraidon teams and do well, like offering Steel type and Psychic type damage, but it does double down on like the ground weakness with Miraidon, so I can't really put it higher than C tier till I see more. Raging Bolt, A tier for me. I think it is better than, no, I don't think it's better than Whimsicott. It is really good. It does fall into the thing where it has a Terra in front of Miraidon, but other than that, like it has a good matchup into a lot of different restricteds. Assault Vest makes it really good with Snarl into Calyrex Shadow unless it's running like Covert Cloak, Nasty Plot, then you just lose, right? But other than that, like it's really only bad matchups with Miraidon and Calyrex Ice. It offers a lot of damage output to everything else, right? It is not good into Groudon either, but Groudon is not as common, so it's very slappable and it's really good on Sun teams, and it offers like a lot of damage. It can threaten one shots on a lot of different restricteds. It does force the 50-50 with Miraidon because you can one shot Miraidon back if it whiffs like attack into you and doesn't switch out, right, and doesn't Terra. So it's really good in that aspect. Amoonguss, S tier. You know, like Amoonguss, like I think it's better than Chien-Pao because Amoonguss is like the epitome of S tier that you gotta have answers to it. Teams are built with like double grass or grass plus safety goggles, or safety goggles plus grass terror. Just to have two mons that can sit in front of Amoonguss on the field, because Amoonguss is just that threatening with Spore, right? People are taking like, you know, Grass Terrors and Trick Room Masters, or even like Torko, just to deal with Amoonguss, because Amoonguss is just so threatening with Spore. And being slept for 3 turns and just being like attacked and can't attack back, it just really sucks, right? So Amoonguss is just really good. Tornadus, S tier. I think it's better than Whimsicott. Might be better than Chimpow too. Tailwind, offering all 4 different weathers that it can set up. You can run it. You can use it on sand teams, snow teams, rain teams, sun teams. It's a perfect partner for Kyogre. It just enables so many archetypes. Bleak Wind is broken, and it's just a good mon. Like, what more can I say about it? It offers all the tools that you need. Icy Wind. It had Dark Pulse with Dark Terror coverage into like Cataracts Shadow. Dark Terror helps you get around being taunted by opposing Tornadus. It's just really good. Landorus, slept on mon. It's a really good Intimidator. I don't think it's a D tier mon. I think it's B tier. With a Choice Scarf, it can be pretty annoying for Miraidon, right? I think it plays a role well at checking Miraidon. Even with an Assault Vest, you're forcing like Draco Meteors, and also you're forcing Terrors, right? So I think it has a niche. Like, people just gotta explore it more. Same with Ursaluna. Plays this role well. I think it's right there with Landorus. Maybe it's a little bit better up here with Dragonite. It can still threaten restricted under Trick Room. It's just very slow, can get one shot, but Normaterra Blood Moon still just removes a lot from the field. Ogerpon Cornerstone, I want to say it's A tier. Like, you can slap this on any team, and I don't think it's better Smeargle, but you can slap it on any team and it's gonna be good. Like, it takes you doubling up into it to remove it, and offers Follow Me plus like extra coverage into like Incineroar, coverage into Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu does not like seeing this, right? It can never one shot you because it's 30, and then you just one shot Chi-Yu back and force it to Terra, so it's really good. Heartflame Ogerpon, S tier mon. We got a lot of good S tier mons, right? I don't think it's better than Chimpow, but I do think it's right up there. This is debatable. You guys could probably organize these in any order that you want, but actually I think I might move Raging Bolt down to A tier. I think it's right there with like Flutter. Yeah, I think it's right there with Flutter, because I just think that it's not as good as these, but I think it's really good. Like, if you look at these 3, like, these mons are still extremely good. They're just, you can put them on any team and win with them, right? And I think that's the epitome of an A tier. But this mon can single-handedly just win you games, right? It fits on a whole bunch of different archetypes. It just recently won Worlds too, so it's a really good mon. This one has fallen. If Kyogre was better, this would be like your new Gastrodon to check it. But since Kyogre's not better, I think it's just B tier. But I think it can rise as Kyogre rises, because I think Kyogre is a little bit slept on. It just needs to be ran the right way. And I do think that people trying to run the Assault Vest version, I think that Choice Specs, Choice Scarf Kyogre is probably the best way to run it, but people just don't see it yet. Gouging Fire, C tier. It's right here with these, right? Does pretty much the same thing. I say that Walking Awake might be better. And then this right here. Right there. Right? Like, they fit on, like, you know, the Sun and the Electric Terrain teams. They offer some niche. They can, like, you know, mess you up if you're just not prepared for them. But I don't think the meta is going to revolve around them. I think this one's going to be D tier. I don't see why you would use this. Rock and Psychic. If you want to use a rock type, just use this, right? It's gonna be on the field a little bit longer. It's a little bit more annoying, and it's also not threatened by like knockoff from Incineroar, right? Like, this just, it feels really bad. It can go through Protect, right? So it does have that niche. Matter of fact, because it can go through Protect, it's like a pseudo Urshifu. I'll put it up here in C tier, because the niche of going through Protect is really cool. Jugulus, similar B tier. It can really annoy Calyrex Shadow. Snarl, fast Snarl with booster energy is really annoying. I think it's like right there, Gordingo level. It's pretty good. It offers like a lot of different checks. It has Taunt, Tailwind. What else? That's pretty much it. Jump Bluff. This mon is slept on. It's not good on every team, because it really only works on Sun teams, but it does such a good job at playing its role on Sun teams. I'm gonna put it up in high B tier. Comfy fits on one type of team. You're gonna put it on either Terapagos or Lugia or Lunala, right? Always Calm Mind, Leftovers, heal them up with Comfies. The same thing. It does play that. It can do that niche pretty good, right? But it only fits on those type of teams. Ditto. I'm gonna say Ditto plays this role well at just offering you a second restricted, kind of like cheating the format. I'm not necessarily saying you're cheating, but you're cheating like the rule of set is just being able to run one restricted. Ditto can help you with that, right? So I don't want to say it's better than any of these, but it's like right there around that. I think it's usable. It's really good. Mian Chao, C tier, fits on Calyrex Shadow teams, Calyrex Ice teams. Just offers Wide Guard, Fake Out, pretty annoying for them. And it offers close combat into Incineroar, which these two Calyrexes do not like to deal with Incineroar. It offers you a check into it. Bronzong, I don't see why you would use this. I think it's only fits on like hard trickling teams. It does have a niche that it's a hard check into Calyrex Ice. With Iron Defense, Calyrex Ice can do nothing to this mon with the Glacial Lance high horsepower set. You resist Glacial Lance. You take reduced damage the more you keep Iron Defense up, and it just can't touch you with high horsepower. So it has that niche where it checks that, right? So we'll just put it like right here. And it can reverse your Trick Room. This is also an A tier mon. It single-handedly checks restricted. It's like it checks Calyrex Shadow with Wide Guard. It checks Kyogre with Wide Guard. What else? Checks Groudon and knows Groudon. It single-handedly just makes Koraidon's life a living, HE double hockey sticks, and that's really bad for Koraidon. This 100% lose to like a non-restricted mon, but that's what it can do. I'll say it's probably right there with Smeargle. Wo-Chien, it fits on those Kyogre teams where you can Pollen Puff Kyogre and then let it go for like powerful water spots on Assault Vest Kyogre. It does that pretty well, right? So I'm gonna put it like right here. I think Comfy's like right behind it. Yeah, we'll go like that. Latios, D tier. I don't know what you're gonna do with it really. Scarlet, such a cool Pokemon. Well, it is immune to Koraidon's Flare Blitz, right? With the Iron Defense set, and no, you can't really Terra because high horsepower hits you, right? Not Iron Defense, bulk up set. I don't think you really check Calyrex Ice. You do threaten it. You check Zamazenta. You check Zamazenta with the bulk up set. So Heavy Slam does nothing. Body Press, you're immune to it. So I'll give it a niche. It checks Zamazenta, right? It's a very small niche, but nonetheless, it's a niche, right? So we'll just put it in C tier. Same thing with this. You check Zamazenta even more so. We'll put them right next to each other. You just because you threatened it can't Iron Defense in front of you, you're threatening it even more. Same thing. Lilligant fits on Sun teams. Same with these. Pretty threatening with Entrainment, and after you Sleep Powder, it can be pretty annoying. Umbreon fits on Zacian teams. I haven't seen too many results. Why is this here? I don't know what type of team this fits on, but it's a groundwater. Just use Gastrodon if you want to use groundwater, right? I think that. I mean, but you don't even immune to water like how Ogerpon and Gastrodon are, right? But Gastrodon does his job better, in my opinion. So it offers what Yawn. Gastrodon does that too. I don't even know why that's here, but I guess he felt the need to put it on there. But offers White Guard. You can use it on hard Trick Room teams. It can be pretty good on ranked teams. Serena, I think it plays its role pretty well at being just something that stops priority. Fits on Kyogre teams. It can fit on a Rhydon team. Anything that doesn't like Fake Out, Grassy Glide, or like Aqua Jet, Sucker Punches, Serena kind of shuts that down. So I think it plays that role pretty well. Eleki, B tier also. High B tier for me. Plays its role well being something fast that slows down the rest of the format. They don't have Flutter Mane or Arm Bundle. It's just the fastest thing, right? That's not like Scarf to outspeed it, and just slows down the format, right? So it's still pretty good. This checks Calyrex Shadow unless it's running Fairy Tera Draining Kiss. So it does have that little niche. Talonflame, it's D tier for me, up top of D tier, but just use Whimsicott or Tornadus, right? Better Tailwind setters. And this plays alongside Kyogre. It's a rain sweeper, but you much rather just have Urshifu, or even probably Ogerpon might be better in the rain. But it only fits on those rain teams, right? So again, it's gonna be niche right there with like Lilligant. But this is gonna be my list, guys. Go ahead and take your screenshots if you want to just look at it, use this for your team building. These are some of the most relevant mons in the format, and we went ahead and ranked them. This video didn't take too long. Like I said, the person that created this, his name is Lang Liar Leo. He's the one that created this tier list, but if you guys want to give him a follow, there's his Twitter link right there. But he created this list, and he pretty much went ahead and used sorted out all the unviable mons. You may see some that be missing that may pop up later in the format that are not on this list. If not, then we can just do another tier list to add them here. But this is pretty accurate for like the best mons in the format that are now restricted, right? So let me know if you guys agree with this list. If you like this type of content, go ahead and leave a like for me. Subscribe, turn those post notifications, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Stay tuned, more videos soon. Deuces.